Okay, folks, this is going to be a video going through and looking at a couple different ergonomic designs, different methods in CAD for creating these four primary parts. These parts aren't per se inherently ergonomic, but some of the tools and the features used are going to allow you to create some very organic shapes and some shapes that I think will be useful to you when it comes time to start designing these ergonomic parts. So the first one we'll be making here is a pretty simple part. Kind of looks like a bar of soap. And throughout this whole process, I really don't want you to be too concerned about the dimensions of things. Be more concerned just about getting a shape to come out similar to what I have here. Okay, so we're going to start this bar of soap. We look over here, we can see this is actually just one sweep. So a sketch that defines that, and a sketch that defines the ellipse. So we'll come over here to part 5 and start making that. The first thing I'm going to do to make this part is I'm going to define the pattern I would like to sweep across the ellipse, and then we'll work backwards from there to draw the ellipse. So I'm going to come up in here, start new 2D sketch. Looks like I've already started a sketch. There we go. I'm going to start by drawing a 2-point rectangle here. In this case, I'm going to toss one dimension on there just to make it look decent. 2 inches wide. Just going to throw a curve all the way across the top. From there to there. You can see here I'm using the 3-point curve tool, but you could use anything. There is that. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to click Finish Sketch right here. And now I'm going to be working on drawing an ellipse in this plane right over here to that. It's nice to be able to keep this 3D model and kind of take a look at that to know where to put your next sketch. I'm going to grab a 2D sketch here. I'm going to open up my origin. I'm going to find that plane. And there it is. In this case, it's the XY plane. Okay. I'm going to come up here to my circle tool. I'm going to pull up an ellipse. And I'm just going to draw my ellipse. Now, one thing that is useful to do in this sense, and I've had luck doing it in the past where I got away without this, but it is definitely a nice thing to do, is to come in and project this geometry and then ask your ellipse to be tangent to that. Oh, wrong constraint, I guess. There it is. So now my ellipse is physically bonded to that profile. Now I can click Finish Sketch on this, come back here, and I am going to be sweeping this geometry. So I can grab my profile up here and grab my path right here. Path is going to be the ellipse. There you can see here's my first part, or as I like to call it, the bar of soap. There's that. This line is kind of pesky. That line is represented by where your where the profile, where that initial sketch was created right there. And then drawing the ellipse there. Now we move on to part 2. Part 2 kind of inspired by like the handle on a belt sander. Belt sanders have that type of handle quite frequently. I've also seen it on some ergonomic kitchen tools, like a giant pizza cutter or something. I've seen that before. So come over here to part 6 and start creating that. Let's take a look at what's in it first, actually. So first things first, we're going to extrude a cylinder. Then we are going to sweep the handle and fillet it. It's really a pretty simple part, but the tricky thing on this one is going to be putting the sketches in the right spot. So first things first, I'm going to grab a plane here. There is some debate in the CAD community on whether or not you should start at the circle here, up here, up here, up here. It really doesn't matter too much. I'm going to go with a 1-inch circle. I'm going to click Finish Sketch. I'll extrude this just for the sake of kind of showing you the power of the next technique. I'm going to make this a completely arbitrary number. Okay. So if you wanted to, if you had drawn that as a sensical number to put a plane in the middle here, you could offset like this. I don't want to do that though. I like being lazy. I like the CAD to do the work for me. So I'm going to come up here and pick one of my favorite work plane tools. This is under the work plane menu, mid plane between 2 planes. I'm going to click on this end. I'm going to spin my part around. I'm going to click on this end. It's going to put a work plane right in the middle for me. Okay. Now I can grab a 2D sketch, slap it on there. Here's where the magic happens. If I start drawing in here, I won't be able to see what I'm doing. But if I hit F7 on my keyboard, it's going to slice away any part in front of my screen and give me a shot to see what's actually going on there in the world. Now I'm going to draw a curve. And I'm going to try to keep this curve to be exactly 90 degrees of a circle. So I'm going to try to make a pretty regular shape there. There's certainly some constraining I could do to help me with that. Like this right here. I'm going to set this to 0. And you can definitely get away with doing different parts of a circle. You can do less. But for what we're doing today, this is just the simplest way of doing it. I'm now going to click Finish Sketch. And now you can see what I'm going to try to do next is put a circle down here. This can be kind of tricky. This can be a little difficult, but I think we can get it. Okay, so I've got the top part of my handle. Let me spin this around, get it in a nice plane. That'll work. And now we're going to try drawing a circle right there. So let's grab an offset plane. We'll open up our origin menu here. We'll find out what plane is cutting through. And that one right there looks to be just perfect. Now I'm going to do an offset plane from that. I'm going to bring it down here. Couple options here. You could try to recall what the dimension is here and offset that the same radius of this circle. But I have had luck applying a point to this end. And then I guess I have to redo that. Offset from plane. So in this case, I couldn't get that right on the position. It will actually work without that, I believe. So we're going to press on. I'm sure there's some smart way of doing that. So long as I can project the geometry of this curve, I think I'll be okay. And I can. So now when I spin down here to draw my actual circle, I have a center point. Now I can click OK. Can't extrude that thing. We're going to have to sweep it. Grab the sweep tool. You can see in this case, it already picked up on both, but I'll show you how to do it, right? Come in, select the profile I want to sweep, select the path or the curve I want to sweep, click that. Some cases you will have to move over to this one. This changes the geometry a little bit, just something to know. Try to mess with these different ones to get different actions out of your sweep. It's delightful. Wow, beautiful. Now, this is a model that can definitely benefit from a little bit of filleting. There's the fillet tool. And in a realistic sense, this makes this significantly stronger by putting a nice radius in there, beefs it up, and it takes away the stress concentrate. And there's a pretty nice part. Now you will see with some of these different weird techniques, you end up with a lot of work planes all over the place. That's nothing to sweat. Come up here to the view menu. This tab right here. Turn off work plane visibility. And you should be good. Sometimes you have to turn off 2D sketches as well, depending on how many dead sketches you have in the part. But there's that. On to part 3. Part 3 is pretty simple and pretty easy, despite the fact that this is a very organic shape with some very complicated geometry going on. You can say I have a loft. Underneath my loft, I have 5, it looks like 5 sketches, starting off with a circle, triangle, a little different triangle, ending circle, and then an axis that goes all the way through. So let's make that now right here in part 7. First thing I'm going to do, toss 2D sketch on here, throw a circle right in the middle. I'm going to finish my 2D sketch. I'm now going to offset from this plane. I open my origin. So there's the plane. There's the plane. Persistence, folks, it pays off. 0.5. I'm going to toss a 2D sketch on here. In this case, I'm going to come over here and use the polygon tool. I really like a triangular grip for things. If you close your hand and look at it, a lot of times you do have a semi-triangular grip there. I'm going to come in here and drop that guy in. One of the rare instances in the world when I actually will use a 2D fillet. 2D fillets are generally kind of a bad idea. But in this case, we want that geometry nice and smooth. We don't want our computer trying to generate that complicated shape any more times than it has to. I got confused for a second. I got to do another offset work plane. So there I have that. Come in here, offset from plane, grab this one, drag it out. Again, another 1/2 inch. You could do irregular numbers if you had a lot of rapidly changing geometry in a tight space. Kind of thinking about it like a topographic map. I'm going to toss in another triangle. So I'm going to offset it a little bit. Your grip actually does twist slightly as it moves on. You could certainly do some stuff playing with different sized fillets here. That would give you kind of a tapering geometry or a little bit less of an equilateral triangle. Then I'm going to put a circle on the end of this thing and call it a day. You get stuck on something, if you get in a weird spot, you can always close that dead sketch like I just had there. It's important to remember that with all this CAD stuff, it's just a matter of playing with it and figuring out what you got to get done. There's not always a perfect way, and there's always a million different ways of doing something. So here what I've done is I've come in and I've put a sketch, that's sketch number 5, and I put it right on this plane right here, which is the YZ, just cutting through all of those initial parts. Now I'm going to draw a line that connects all of these right through the center points. Just like that. I'm going to finish my sketch. Over here to loft. It's important to select the center line thing first. Select that center rail. Now I can come through and add sections. Got an error. Isn't that heartbreaking? I believe it's because this sketch right here isn't coming to the end of that. So we're going to go edit that. Edit sketch. Yeah, and you can see I'm just short by a little bit there. I'm going to use this tool right here. Coincident Constraint. I thought that's what it was. I just wasn't super confident. I'm going to have him come all the way. Hit finish sketch. We're going to try that loft one more time. And there's our center rail. And here's our sections. Here's our sections. One more go, then we give up. Start fresh. I think we got it. We do. What a beautiful thing. This is kind of a weird shape. Again, a way to make an interesting handle or something like that. Especially if you want something that's really ergonomic and going to be nice to hold on to for a long period of time. You could do some studies, look at different hand shapes, maybe play with a clay model, chop it up, and derive some of those individual sections. Last one, pretty easy one, not going to lie. Where's my screwdriver? There's the screwdriver, stolen right from my garage. A Wera branded screwdriver or something. To make this, it's really simple. It's a revolve. to get the initial shape, and it's an extrusion. Okay, so let's get that done right here. I'm going to change back to my 2-point rectangle tool. I'm going to toss a 2D rectangle in here. I'm going to come in. I'm going to apply a curve, a 2D curve or 3-point curve here, doing this, doing this. And then I'm going to put a little end on here to represent the little grip guard so your finger doesn't slip off. Okay. One thing that is a really nice constraint here is the tangent tool right here. I'm going to tangent these two circles together. You're going to see that's going to improve that, but it is going to kind of blow up my sketch because we've got no dimensions on nothing right now. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. Yeah, a little bit better, but nothing great. This whole part's actually really small. It's part of the problem. Oh boy. Not looking so hot now. We'll get it. Just need some more dimensions. Hey, now we're cooking. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to be applying a curve. It's going to pull down to here. This height here is going to look really funky. It'll definitely be something, but I think ain't going to look right unless we tune this up a little bit. Go 0.6 for a radius for the part. You can do, again, whatever. Just function of making it look weird. Apply a curve up here. This is something I'm going to tangent, I think. Yeah, that ain't bad. I'm also going to take this center point here and drop it right here. That's going to ensure that my end point on this will be completely bulbous. It's yelling at me. It doesn't like that. Try one more time. So my issue was my tangent there. If I didn't tangent this to that, it would have let me do that. So I was asking too much of it. It's on me. That's looking a little better. Where's my extend tool? There it is. Extend that out. Oh, it doesn't like that. There we go. Now we got it done. I'm going to come in here and trim out this. One thing somebody just taught me recently, pretty smart young lady. You can use the trim tool. Turn on trim tool. If you click and drag, it will cut that line out. Doesn't like removing that one, and it's not really too important to remove that one. Come up here into the revolve tool. Revolve this, revolve this, revolve this, revolve this. Select our axes. The axis is going to be the bottom line of this. And you can see there is a pretty decent looking screwdriver. To make the little grip surfaces on here, just a really quick tool. Come here, grab an offset plane. I'm going to drag that up a ways here. I'm going to put a sketch plane on there. I'm going to hit F7. It's going to cut it away. Now I can come in and just draw some circles. In this case, I don't want to draw a whole bunch. I'm just draw one. I'm going to pattern the geometry using that center point. We'll put 12 of them on here. There you go. Beautiful thing. Use my extrude tool here. Select each and every one of these, unfortunately. 12 clicks, such a hard life. I'm going to do through all. I'm going to do cut. I might have to flip it to the back direction, depends on how you clicked on things, but there's that. Okay. There's a screwdriver. Ain't bad. Okay. So again, your task today is to pick 2 of these and draw them out. So go on through, get them done. that is that, folks. Good luck.